Hello, it's Debbie Gilbert from the Business Awards Show, and I'm also the founder of the Best Business Women Awards. And today I'm delighted to be joined by Michelle Eshkeri, who is a copywriter. Her business is Let Me Write. She's been running that business now for 5 years. She has won a couple of business awards along the way. And today we're going to be talking about her business journey and talking about the importance of using a copywriter for some of those really important documents that you might need in your business, and certainly for websites and for blogs, and why using a copywriter is a better option than just relying on ChatGPT, which is the current flavor of the day.
Yeah.
So, welcome, Michelle.
Hi, Debbie. How are you?
Oh, it's lovely to see you again. So the last time I saw you, you were collecting a silver award at the Best Business Women Awards a few weeks ago. So well done to you. Great recognition in the marketing and PR category. And you also won one of the SME Hearts Awards as well, didn't you? A few years ago, you were saying.
I was a finalist. I didn't actually win that on that occasion,
Well,
but
that's still a win as
yeah,
far as I'm concerned. That's good.
it's still being picked out of quite a few people. So
Yeah, exactly. So, Michelle, let's start off by talking a bit about your business journey and what brought you to copywriting a few years ago. So, do you want to share a bit about that?
sure, yeah. I mean, I started my career as a actually in finance as an accountant working in industry. So I worked for quite a large multinational company for many years, and I loved working for them. I had a great part-time job that fitted around my kids, and partly at home, partly in the office. It was very flexible. And then one day a new boss came in and said, right, your part-time job doesn't exist anymore, but here, why don't you have this full-time one? And by the way, you've got to be in the office 5 days a week from 9 till 5:30. And I looked at how that was going to impact my life and my family's life, and I said, no, thank you very much. And so they made me redundant. I went and worked in my son's school because I was considering retraining to be a primary school teacher at that point. And although I really loved working with the kids, there were a lot of things I didn't like about the environment. I didn't like the education policy. I didn't really like the paperwork, the politics, parents,
Mm.
um,
Yeah.
basically. And I thought, no, this isn't for me. But I really do enjoy training, and I've done a lot of training in my career. And so I decided to go completely different, and I set up a training business locally to where I live, running antenatal classes for parents to be, and baby and child first aid training. So
Wow.
so I ran that company for about 8 years, and part of when you're a small business, and it was my first sort of foray into being a business owner, you have to wear all the hats, don't you? You've got to do your finances and your marketing, and you have to do everything. And so I had to learn how to use my website and write blogs and get myself to the top of Google locally and use my social media. So that's where I developed my marketing sort of knowledge. I don't have a marketing degree or any professional qualification in marketing, but I have sort of lived experience. And then I was running that company, and then at the same time I was home educating my kids through their GCSEs. So that kept me quite busy until about 2019. And in 2019, when one child went to college and the other one went to get a degree, an apprenticeship rather, I thought, what do I want to do now? And I've thought, oh, maybe I'll go back to accountancy, open up as a bookkeeper or accountant. And then I was like, no, no, but then I'd have to deal with HMRC, and I'd have to deal with loads of receipts. I really don't want to do that. But what can I do? What am I good at? And I was like, quite like writing, and I've been quite good at doing that. Getting my own marketing working. So maybe I can do it for other small businesses. So that's why I set up the copywriting business. And then lockdown came, and everyone jumped on Zoom, so that was quite easy to start networking online and getting more clients. And I thought, it's time to close down the training company and really focus on the copywriting. So that's what I did in early 2021. Sort of shut the training business, and now I spend all my time writing about tax and pensions mainly.
Oh, really? Are a lot of your clients in the financial sector?
Yeah, so I tried to get like a wide range of clients when I first started, so I could see what I enjoyed doing, what I was good at doing. Quickly found out that I don't enjoy writing for trades very much.
Mm.
One of my first projects was writing the website for a scaffolding company.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it's really hard to make that sound interesting. But I did learn that there are 4 different types of scaffolding, so there you go.
Mm.
Um, you learn something new every day when you're writing for a bunch of different businesses. But then I started marketing on LinkedIn, and I think, because my background was all on LinkedIn, in my profile, people could see that I'd had this long career in finance, and they were like, "Oh, she probably knows what she's talking about." So I started getting more and more accountants and mortgage brokers and financial advisors coming to me. So now that is my niche, my
Mhm.
main niche. And I also try and get other projects in health, wellbeing, and education, because they're sort of more interest areas for me.
Yeah, that's good. So, that's great because you've brought all of that expertise to the table that you had, and that's enabled you to grow a business around, the specialism of writing, but with that added knowledge that you've got. So, if a business is listening to this, I mean, most of our listeners are entrepreneurs who are running a business, generally, like you said earlier, wearing numerous hats. Many of them are trying to do things as cost effectively as possible, as quick as possible. So along comes ChatGPT. So, what's your opinion on how that fits in with writing copy for things? Because we saw this year definitely a marked increase in people using it for their reward entries. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, it's a very interesting question, isn't it? I think these large language models can be useful, particularly for doing things like research, as long as you're sort of going to be checking the facts that it
Mm.
comes back with, because we all know that it can make stuff up when it feels like it. um, but also sort of it's good. I find it really useful for things like summarizing. So I had a client where he would send me a video of him talking to his client, and then the idea was that I would go through the video and pull out different topics for LinkedIn posts that I was writing on his behalf. And when Chat GPT came along, it was very much, all of a sudden it was so much quicker to do that, because I could get the transcript of the video, put that into chat, and have it summarize and make suggestions for the post topics. So that was great. It's good. I think it's also quite good for if you're not really sure where to start with something, perhaps a longer piece of content like a blog. You can ask it to produce an outline, but I wouldn't use it to produce the final copy.
No.
So I might use it for ideas. I might use it for rephrasing stuff. But certainly, I can see straight away when something's been written
Mm.
by ChatGPT and people haven't bothered to edit it, because it produces the same types of phrases over and over and over again. Um, and there are certain words as well that tend to come up all the time when you use ChatGPT. So I think it's fairly obvious now, when people have used it. And I'm not saying necessarily that's a bad thing, but it does mean that more and more content is becoming, it's just a big homogenous blob of the same old again, and you don't stand out. You've got to. It can't really put personality in to copy in the same way that a human brain can. I don't think, anyway.
So, how do you work with your clients, Michelle, in order to extract their personality into the copy that you write for them?
It's a case of, when I first start with a client, I will have a meeting. We'll have a Zoom or face to face. Generally, it's Zoom, because a lot of my clients are scattered all over the country or even further afield. And I will ask them a whole load of questions about their business and who looking to attract, and what their USP is, kind of all the sorts of things that you might have to put into an award entry, really.
Mm.
um so I've got a form that, like an interview questionnaire type thing that I go through, and I will take notice of the sorts of language that they use. I'll record it so that I can go back and watch it again or listen to it again. to make sure that I'm using the same words that they use. So when I write for them, it sounds like something that they would write themselves.
So
And
it's all-
of course, over time, I get better at doing that. So the first couple of times I write a post or a blog, it's probably likely to need some tweaks so that they're happy with it, and they read it and think, yes, that sounds like something I could have written myself. And once I get to know their style, then I've found that I don't really need to do much in the way of editing most of the time. So I've got 10 retainer clients now, and it's actually pretty rare that they'll say to me, that just doesn't sound like me, or can you change that bit? Occasionally I've got one client who might ask me to change something, but it tends to be the whole post rather than individual words. So he might just say, I just didn't feel that worked great, can we do a different topic? So
Mm.
we'll change that, and that's absolutely fine. But it takes a little while, like anything, to get practiced in sort of sounding like other people.
So if someone's looking to outsource their copy, what sort of things can you do for them?
Quite a variety. So I can write web copy. I do a lot of SEO blogging. I write a lot of LinkedIn profiles, loads and loads of LinkedIn posts, which I pass back to the client. So I don't do any management of their account. I just write them their content. Things like ebooks, if somebody wants to write a book in their business to sell, or just as an authority, um, or to use with their customers. I've done a couple of books for tutors recently that they use with their students. What else do I do? Case studies, award entries, anything marketing really. Yeah.
Mm. So you could write a training manual for somebody if they needed it.
Absolutely could. I've
Yeah.
tons of training manuals in my previous incarnation of work when I was working in
Mm.
as accountant. I actually had sort of quite a lot of communications input into what the finance department was doing. So I was responsible for the website. I was responsible for a massive training project where we had to write lots of training manuals. It's a little while ago now, but I've still got those skills. Yeah.
So Michelle, what's the ingredients of good copy? Let's focus on blogs. What's the ingredients of a great blog? What would you say?
Well, there's a few different things, I think. So there's the actual content itself. It needs to be something that people want to read, because obviously if you don't get past the headline, then it's not really doing the job that you want it to do. And we laugh, but actually, I think this statistic is something like 80% of people will only read the headline. So you better make sure that headline's good, because you need to be in the 20% of people that actually read on to the rest of the blog. So I think it's choosing a good topic. Structure of the blog's really important, and that crosses into not just ability to make it easy for the reader to digest it, but also so that Google understands what the blog is about, and hitting the required SEO sort of points that you need to put in there to make sure that it starts ranking well. And that then goes into making sure you're using the right keywords, and then eventually we get to the back end of a blog where the technical side of things that you have to sort of do with the alt text and all sorts of different bits and bobs, the pictures and what have you, so Google understands what the blog's about. So I think there's a few different elements of writing the blog. It's not actually just the words that you use.
And what's the ideal length for a blog, for a website?
Well, that's a really good question. It's like, how long's a piece of string? Because it used to be that Google would want sort of 800 to 1,000 words, but these days it's not as easy to say, oh, if you write that much, it will do well. It's more about, does it satisfy the need of the reader? So you have to think about, why would the reader need to know this information? What's the intent behind it? And in some cases, very short blogs can be perfectly fine and satisfy that question. If it's not a detailed answer that's required, then you don't, you know, what's the point of writing 2,000 words where 200 would do? So it's very difficult to actually answer that question with a definitive
Mm,
number of words now, to be honest with you.
mm,
One thing I would say though is that if you want Google to view your website as an authority in your field, it's a good idea to have maybe 3 or 4 what we call cornerstone pieces of content that are longer, that go into detail in, you know, particular areas that you're in. So if it's, for example, on my site, I have a long blog about how to optimize your LinkedIn profile, a long blog on, you know, how to write a really good blog with all the different elements that you need, and you know, the SEO side of it. I might have, you know, I think I've got quite a long blog on how to write an about page on your website. So these are like sort of evergreen content. I mean, you do have to update, make sure they are updated, but the premise of them doesn't change all that much over time. And if you could put a nice meaty blog up on your website, then, you know, Google's likely to see it as, you know, a good sort of expertise and authority site. So you're going to rank, you know, more highly than you would otherwise. And then you can just, you know, write as long as it needs to be. So that might be 200 words, it might be 500 words, it might be 800 words. It depends on the topic.
So, how often should people be writing blogs and putting them onto their website?
Again, it used to be the more often the better, but it's more about, you know, writing. I guess I would say to smaller businesses who maybe haven't got a marketing department, try and do it regularly, but that doesn't necessarily mean it has to be frequently. So if you can only do it once a month, do it once a month. Yeah, but make sure you eke as much juice out of that blog as you possibly can. Don't just put it on your website and do nothing else with it. Repurpose it. You know, put it up on LinkedIn as an article, put it on Medium as an article, turn it into, you know, a number of short posts. You know, maybe turn it into some short reels or short videos that can go on YouTube. Just, you know, use that, all that content, more than, you know, multiple times, because, you know, we haven't got an endless budget for marketing, have we, unfortunately?
No,
So you
no.
want to get as much value out of it as possible. And even like I write for some clients, I write their LinkedIn posts and I say to them, I might only be writing 1 or, you know, maybe 2 posts a week for you, but you've built up a bank of content now. You can repost it, because the
Mm,
first time it went out on LinkedIn, maybe 5% of your audience saw it. What about the other 95%? You don't want to deprive them. Like, you know, put it out and then a month later put it out again. No, you know, even if the same people happen to see it, which is very unlikely, but if they did, that's actually a good thing, because, you know, you, as you being in marketing, you know, we need multiple touch points before someone's going to buy from us. So it's actually a good thing that they see the same thing again. So, you know,
mm.
use your stuff, reuse. You don't have to put out new content all the time. It's unnecessary.
So, what did you post about your award win?
I posted a picture of me with one of the other winners. We were sitting at a table and we had our awards, which is sitting on my desk here. So, and that actually was, I think I was talking about it being a really good opportunity for business networking, as well as like in a celebration of success. Because as a result of sitting next to this other business owner, we are looking at a collaboration in the new year.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, so she's
that's amazing.
and we just got on, you know, we just got on really well on the night, and we started talking about business, and I said, oh, should we have a one-to-one? So we had a one-to-one. And then there are a few things that I do in my business that she doesn't yet offer, sort of on the long form content side of things. So yeah, it looks like we might be doing a little collab in 2025. So there you
Oh,
go,
oh, I
networking.
love that. That's amazing. So
Uh,
that kind of leads us to talk about the awards. And, obviously my awards were not the first ones that you'd entered. So what made you enter business awards? Why did that appear on your radar?
um, do you know what? I think it was because I got commissioned to write an award entry by a client, quite early on. I can't remember. I think it was in 2020, maybe 21. I'm not sure exactly, but um, so this was for some diversity and inclusion awards, if I remember correctly. And she asked me to write um, for 3 categories for an award that she was entering. So I did that, and then off the back of what I'd written, she actually entered 21 different awards stroke
Wow.
categories,
Hmm.
and either won or was highly commended in all of them. So it was like, oh, okay, that's rather nice. So at that point, I thought, I should probably enter myself into an awards, which I did, the SME Hearts ones. And that I went for the customer service category because I think I just missed the new business category.
Mm.
Like I quite early set up, but I think I just missed the criteria for that. So yeah, so that was well, I became a finalist, so I think didn't win, but I still think that was a worthwhile activity to do. And I think even if nothing else, I mean, when I was going through writing the entry for this award and Best Businesswomen, I think it's such an amazing reflective process that you go
Mm.
through, and it's something you
Definitely.
don't really stop and do very often, I
Mm.
don't think. Not in that level of detail anyway.
No.
So I think if for that alone, it's a really good thing to do from time to time.
Mm.
So, I probably will do it again, possibly not 2025, but I don't know, we'll see. Um, but yeah, it's definitely really worth having that time to just step back and say, right, what actually have I achieved? What have I done well? Because we just, everything's so quick these days, isn't it? We're in such a fast paced environment that there isn't the time to just sit back and say, well, hang on a minute, what have I done? Where have I come from? Where am I heading? I mean, obviously, if you're using a business coach, then perhaps you are doing that on a more regular basis, but a lot of small businesses aren't.
Mm.
Um, and they just, kind of just on that treadmill, and they kind of never get the opportunity to step off it. So I think awards are quite a good way to do that.
Mm.
Um, and then of course you get all the potential um, benefits that come with the exposure from
Mm.
awards. So, getting into the local press, getting, onto your website, onto your social media,
Mm.
connecting up with other business owners, like, the collaboration I mentioned earlier. And if you've got a team, sort of, it can really help you to be sort of elevate yourself above your competition so
Mm.
that you can attract different employees. There's so many different benefits of it, I think.
So you would keep it as part of your strategy ongoing, maybe not every year, but maybe every other year or something.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I want to sort of have something meaty to talk about again.
Mm.
I don't know if I'd necessarily, say, have what I feel would be enough of a change from mm,
Mm.
2024 to go again next year, but perhaps the year after. Definitely,
Mm.
yeah.
Mm. That's good. That's useful.
Mm.
So, over the past 5 years, when you've obviously pivoted from this business that you had into a very different arena, what have you learned over the last few years running your business for yourself? Is there anything you would want to share with other people that might be listening who are on that sort of initial 5 year journey?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's hard. It is
Mm.
hard. People think, oh, lifestyle be great, I'll be able to do what I like and come and go as I please. Yeah. I mean, when you have to get it off the ground before you can get to that point. So you're probably going to be working longer hours initially. However, um, I have now got to the point where I've taken a very deliberate decision not to grow my business into an agency because I don't really need to make my life more complicated. So
No.
it's quite simple. I can maintain my quality because it's just me. Don't have to worry about checking other people's work. But I've also got quite a lot of flexibility in the way that I set up my business and the way I manage my clients so that I can take longer holidays, for example. So I think in terms of telling or giving someone advice who's just setting up, I think my advice would be patient, because it's not going to happen overnight. I mean, then, there are very few businesses that go from zero to hero overnight. It just doesn't happen. I'm going to have to put the graft in, but it is worth it in the end. And I would make the most useless employee now, I think. I'd just be
How
I'd just be
how
terrible.
did you capture those first few clients, having sort of gone from running you know, training in antenatal and first aid? That was quite a transition to go to copywriting. So how did you get those first few clients?
One word: networking.
Oh, networking. Love a bit of networking.
So I went along to a local networking group. It was August 2019. It was very quiet because it was August. There were only a few people there, but I started speaking to another business owner. I hadn't even really set up at that point. I was just like, maybe this is something I could do. And I went along and spoke to this business owner, and she said to me, "Oh, you might be really handy actually, because my web developers driving me crazy because they need copy and I just can't seem to get it sorted. I know what I want to say, but it's just not coming out right." And I was like, "Okay, what do you do?" She said, "Oh, I'm a mindfulness trainer." I was like, "Okay, I've heard of it, but I don't really know much about it." She said, "Oh, well, if I just send you, my website, have a look. And maybe," I said, "Look, I'll write you a couple of pages. Look, if you like it, great. If not, just put it in the bin." You know, that's what I said to her, because I said to her, "Look, I don't know anything about mindfulness. I've never written anything for a paying client before, but let me have a go." And she was like, "Okay." And I think she probably thought, "Oh my God, this is just going to be disastrous." But anyway, I sent it back to her, and she was like, "Don't know how you did that." She said, "It sounds exactly like me, and it's exactly what I want to say. Can you just write the rest
Oh,
of it?" I was like, "Oh, okay then, maybe I can do this." So that was my very first paying customer. And then I thought, right, I joined this networking group. It was a monthly one. I just went along, and gradually, people get to know you, started getting some clients. And then, as I said before, lockdown came. So it was like everyone's on Zoom. And I could, network all over the country, and has picked up more clients that way. And then LinkedIn is the other way that I get a lot of my clients. Started seriously marketing on LinkedIn in 2021. And I get probably half my clients from LinkedIn now, and the other half from networking stroke referrals, word of mouth sort of thing.
yeah, which is great that you've built a business like that, because it's sort of like you're going to get referrals from people you've worked with. I mean, that's the best way, isn't it, to get that?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Word of mouth marketing is the best marketing there is, because it's free.
So, anything on the horizon for you in 2025?
Yeah, a few bits and bobs. So this collaboration that I mentioned with a VA, another collaboration with a business coach, where we're looking to help accountants to help their clients to grow. Because when
Mm,
their basically when their clients get bigger, they need more of the accountant services. So
mm.
that will be a kind of combination of coaching and content creation package. And then I'm also working with a marketing strategist. So we're going to be doing a one-day marketing workshop. Actually, it's not even one day, it's half a day. So quite early in January, just to kind of kickstart 2025 for local businesses around our area in Enfield. So we do marketing strategy and content strategy and some content creation and some copywriting techniques with them. So that's quite good fun.
Brilliant.
And that's probably it. Most of the sort of projects that are coming up.
Good.
Writing some more books, maybe.
Exciting.
Yeah.
Oh, it's been great catching up with you, Michelle, and hearing more about your business story, because I had no idea what a diverse background you had. So that's amazing. And well done on your win. And I wish you continued success with your business.
Thank you very much, Debbie.
Thank you.